Welcome back, and today in the garage we have a AMD Radeon RX 5600 XT. This is the XFX model. This is the RAW 2. This came in, customers building the computer, they needed some help, so we taking this opportunity to review this card, see how it works, where it fares up, and where it stands as far as everything going on with the whole GPU world and GPU craze. So this is where we're at with it. This card was released in January of 2020 and initially retailed for about $279, and it was a pretty decent bang for the buck when it did come out. It's equivalent as far as the NVIDIA side was the RTX 2060, and that was going for slightly harder, and the only difference pretty much was that with NVIDIA, you have the whole RTX thing, but honestly, RTX on the 2060 is, so you're paying more for that feature, but anyways, that feature actually kind of hurts your performance a little bit. You can get an enjoyable experience with an RTX 2060, but that's for another video, that's for another story, and we're just gonna stay focused on this. Now, the core clocks, boost clocks, and memory. The core clock is 1375, boost up to around 1560, and the memory is at 1500. Like I said, GDDR6, PCI Express 4.0. It's on the 7nm processor, and it's actually a pretty cool graphics card. It has a plastic shroud up here, metal backplate in the back, and what's really cool about it is if you look, you can actually see all the way through is that there's no restriction. I've seen graphics cards where the fan shrouds actually restrict the heat sink, so it kind of keeps in that heat. The heat's allowed to dissipate a lot better. Heat sink is pretty thick and massive. And as far as our power, we got an 8-pin power connector over here. This is our front I/O, and of course they're very proud and they put XFX. Is it rated that way? Yeah, FXX in the front. Man, that's rough to say. So now, where does this stack up right now? So if you're looking to get a graphics card right now, do I recommend buying this? I'm going to go ahead and get to the meat and potatoes. No, I don't. And primarily it's because of where the pricing is at for it right now. It says where the pricing stands, this thing is going for like $379 at Best Buy. You can order them, you still can't get them in stock. The RTX 60 has been discontinued primarily because of the 3000 series release. So this is, as far as your mid-range graphics card, this is pretty much where you're at. You can get some other ones, but if you're looking to get something new, this is going to be your option, which you probably can get your hands on, but you're going to pay for it. And in paying for it, that's where I say I'm not a big fan of this graphics card. So now, this thing is ideal for 1080p gaming. We did some tests, and we'll show all the footage and everything we did was in 1080p, high to extreme settings, everything we had, and we were able to play everything at 60 frames plus per second. There was a limitation, that was because of our CPU, and we'll talk about that afterwards. So overall, this is a pretty decent graphics card. I do recommend it if you can get it for a cheap price, but not for retail. For $379, absolutely not. But if you can find somebody who's selling it for $200, yeah, go ahead and buy it. So let's pop it in. We're going to be putting it in our i3 7100 test bench, DDR4 2400, all that stuff, in case anybody was wondering about that. Everything's going to be 1080p high settings. We're going to show some footage of some games that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing, of course, Fortnite, Red Dead Redemption 2, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Far Cry 5. We'll look at the settings for that, and then we'll talk about it. And then we'll give our opinions, our verdict, and what is my recommendation as far as looking for a graphics card. So let's go ahead and let's go to the benchmarks. So this graphics card performed pretty awesome. 1080p, all high settings, all maxed out for that. This thing was able to give us 60 frames per second and gave us a good, enjoyable gaming experience. The only limitation that we ran into, and if you notice there were some stutters and some frame drops, it was no fault of the graphics cards. The graphics card actually held up very well, and it was actually limited by our CPU. We had a lot of bottlenecking going on where our CPU was pegged out at 100%, and this thing was probably touching 40 to 50%. So the gaming experience for 1080p would actually be a lot smoother and more consistent if the CPU was able to keep up with the graphics card. So that's definitely something to keep in mind if you're buying this. What type of setup that you're going to put it in. Are you going to put it in something like this or something better? Obviously, you want to put in the best bang for the buck CPU that you can afford. So we did try to do some 2K settings on it, but because of the CPU limitation on it, we were actually not able to give some consistent results. I mean, I was able to get probably 40 to 50 frames per second, but I don't want to gig it or give too much of a review on that, primarily because of the CPU limitation. This graphics card is geared towards 1080p, and that's where its strong suit is. You're going to get 1080p high settings, and it's going to run phenomenal for that. But 2K, you're going to need something probably a little more powerful if you want to get more consistent, in which that case you probably end up upgrading to the 5700 XT, which will give you a better 2K experience. So now, this graphics card, why don't I like it? Why don't I recommend it? It's not that I don't like the card, it's just I don't like the price that it's in the current situation of the graphics card market. The price that it's in is $379. Now let's put that into perspective. NVIDIA just released the RTX 3060 Ti, which has 8 gigs of DDR6, has ray tracing and all those other fancy features, and that graphics card is actually geared more towards 2K gaming, and it's 25% faster than this. And you're looking at probably a $20 price difference for graphics cards. That's a huge performance increase, in my opinion. 25% is pretty significant in the bigger scheme of things. So that is definitely something to consider. Now granted, everything going on, it's probably impossible right now to get that graphics card, but if you're patient and you wait, you're going to be able to get an RTX 3060 Ti. Not saying that I'm an NVIDIA fanboy, but you're going to get a better bang for your buck for the price. And for this, $379 new, definitely not worth it. Now if you can find this for maybe $200 to $250 used, it'd probably be something better to pick up in the used market, primarily because the price to performance. And that's the biggest thing that you can take away from this, is the price to performance. If the price is right, then the performance gains are going to be even better for it. So definitely something to consider as far as that. It's an amazing graphics card. The temperatures were pretty decent on it. 53 degrees Celsius was the highest that it held up in probably 20 to 30 minute gaming environment. Now keep that in mind, this is an open test bench setting. Now you put this in a case with restricted airflow, you are going to probably run into some thermal throttling issues, and these fans are going to ramp up pretty high. So I found this card to run pretty warm, as in my opinion AMD graphics cards do run a little hot in my opinion. So definitely consider getting a good case that has good airflow that's actually going to do this card some justice, so it's not going to downclock itself and you'll be able to get the most performance for it. So that's where we're at with that. And as far as where this card is stacking up, my opinion, this is probably going to be the new replacement probably in a year for the RX 570s, 580s. The RX 570 and 580s right now are in my opinion coming down to the low end cards, and this is probably going to be where it's going to stack up. Yes, there is the 5500 version of this one, but not recommended. 5600 XT 1080p gaming is the way to go, and like I said, I don't recommend it primarily because of the price. Everything else is pretty good on it. So this is my review, this is my input on it, and definitely in the comments leave your opinions and let me know what you think, where you would stack up this card. Do you think it's still worth getting, and is it worth just waiting for the 3060 Ti? Thinking about it, if you need a graphics card right now, is this the way to go? If you need it now, honestly, no, wait. But we'll let you be the judge for that. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content, and as always, we'll see what we come up with next.